Welcome back here to Yahoo Finance. Mercedes-Benz demand there for its vehicles jumping in the first quarter. Was the outperformer when you compare Mercedes-Benz to the other top luxury vehicles coming out of Europe. The automaker also recently giving more details on plans for its electric vehicles, also starting the production of its electric EQS sedan earlier this spring. We want to talk about all this with Dimitris Psillakis. He is the Mercedes-Benz US CEO and also Yahoo Finance reporter Pras Subramanian joining the conversation as well. Dimitris, it's great to have you here on Yahoo Finance. Let's talk about the trends that you're seeing in the market right now. Demand, obviously, in the first quarter, seeing a big pickup when we compare it year over year. What have you been seeing more recently?
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me in your show today. I would say going post-pandemic, we have a great demand in the markets, and that you can see in many parts of the retail business, but in the automotive and especially in the luxury segment, we have a high demand at this moment.
Hey, Dimitris, Pras here. Do you think 2021 stays red hot here for you guys, or are there any kind of issue with component shortages and things like that on the supply side?
Yeah, this is the challenge we're facing in the market. I mean, we have plenty of new products which were launched in 2020 and the beginning of 2021. And there is more to come, by the way. But yes, we face some challenges. And this is not only for Mercedes-Benz, it's for the whole of the automotive industry. We face a big challenge when it comes to semiconductor supply. This is bringing, obviously, ups and downs on production. It gives lots of challenges. But I would say, all in all, on our brands, we do well. We can satisfy the demand, and especially we keep and have our factory in Tuscaloosa, our US factory, up and running.
Dimitri, you're speaking to a guy who's a car nut, and I remember the first time I was in a Mercedes, it was a 1977 300D. I was fascinated by the diesel engine technology because of the great mileage it got back then. Now you've got the electric vehicle, the EQS. And did I read correctly that the range on this vehicle is over 400 miles?
Yeah, so far we have the measurements which were done by WTP, by the European, authorities, and that is giving 770 kilometers. We're waiting for the EPA measurement, obviously, to see what will be the range as measured by American authorities. That will come out soon. But definitely, it's a very big and high range, and it's a beautiful car. So I hope we can lure you with this one, Adam.
Hey, Dimitri. So, I know you guys had a small press preview for that EQS. It looks pretty stunning. I'd love to see it in real life as well, along with Adam, I'd imagine. But I was curious, what are your clients telling you about that car? Are traditional S-Class buyers interested in electric vehicles too?
First of all, Pras, I would say it's not only good seeing the vehicle, but I would invite you to drive the vehicle, and soon we'll have our test drive, and you'll be one of the first one to play with this car. But away from that, with the EQS, we're basically entering into the electric vehicle segments, and we enter with the Mercedes of electric vehicles. We're looking not only to move customers from the traditional, or let's say from internal combustion engine vehicles, S-Class, E-Class, whatever, into the EQS, but also we're looking to customers which already have looked and already have bought, let's say, electric vehicles today, would like to bring them into our brand and again, drive the Mercedes of electric.
Dimitris, I'm curious just to get your take on this, because in order for EVs to really take off for popularity here in the U.S., we're going to need more charging stations. From your perspective, what are your thoughts on President Biden's plan just in terms of laying out and instituting more charging stations across the U.S.? Do you think it will be enough in order to meet that demand?
It takes time. It's an infrastructure which takes time to build. I'm very happy to hear the plans and also the incentives to push and move forward in an accelerated way of building infrastructure, building charging stations, creating the awareness, taking away from customers the worry, where can I charge my vehicle if I run out of energy? But at the same time, we do our job as manufacturers. We bring in the market beautiful new cars in different market segments, different price levels. And I think we also, from our side, we create the demand and we create the will to drive a different car, a vehicle which is environmental friendly, but at the same time, fun to drive and exciting when it comes to technologies. So we work from both ends, and we have to work in this way. But again, it's going to take time. It's not something which is switching from one day to the other.
You had me at the AMGs. I mean, they are stunning vehicles. But I want to ask you, some of the car makers in the United States are committing to only produce electric vehicles by a certain date. Is that the kind of thing that Mercedes is? Have you already made a commitment at some point in the future, or is that coming down the pike?
We follow customer trends, and we have to listen to what the customers say and what the customer wants. So at the moment, we offer, and we start offering, obviously, more and more an electric vehicle range. We start with the EQS. There is up to the end of 2022, we'll have 5 electric vehicles in the market. So we move fast in this direction, but we let the customer decide what fits best. His driving habits, let's say, what is best for him. Definitely will come a time that the electric vehicles will surpass the internal combustion engine ones. But it's difficult to say if that would be in 5 years, in 7 years, in 10 years' time. But definitely the trend is towards electric vehicles.
Hey, Dimitris, you mentioned that Tuscaloosa plant down in Alabama. Are you guys planning to expand production there, in particular with EVs too?
Absolutely. Tuscaloosa is our base for the US. We have a very high output at the moment of GLE and GLS, which, by the way, the GLE is the most popular vehicle in the US markets for our brand. And already the factory has been transforming to be able to produce the EQS SUV in the future and the EQE SUV. So 2 SUVs, which obviously will be very popular in the US market, taking into account that approximately 60% of our sales, 70% of our sales, are on SUVs. These 2 vehicles will be localized, and further to that, we are supporting with a battery factory, which will be close to our factory in Tuscaloosa, and will supply the very important component for an electric vehicle, and this is the battery pack.
You talked about the different price points that people enter into the Mercedes family and then move up. How long do you think it'll be before this technology at the high end of what you offer comes down to the entry point for those of us who have limited budgets?
I would say it's moving fast because, again, we follow the customer demand, and there is demand for more compact vehicles, say not only EQS or EQS SUV. And we launch in 2022 our smaller SUV, let's say, and this is the EQB. So that's much more affordable. I cannot talk about price yet, but it's going to be well more affordable, and obviously a beautiful, very dynamic SUV, which will bring in the market again in 2022, the second half of 2022.
Dimitris, Psillakis, great to have you on the show. Mercedes-Benz US CEO, and of course, our thanks to Pras Subramanian for bringing this to us as well.